We are back with our panel discussion. And for this panel, I would like to call on stage our first panel member, and I would request each one of you to please give it up for Mr. Subhra Nandi, Head Packaging from RPSG. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? So now we have the next gentleman, Mr. Rajesh K, Chief Quality and Sustainability Officer from Licious. Let's give him a huge round of applause. So now after this, we have a beautiful lady coming on the stage. Please put your hands together for Miss Madhuri, Gauba, SQS Lead, AMEA and GTR from Bacardi. Let's give her a huge round of applause, everyone. And last but not the least, our moderator, please put your hands together for Mr. Debajit Bhattacharyya, Vice President Procurement from Havmor Ice Cream Private Limited. Thank you all the panel member and the moderator for joining us. So stage is all yours. Thank you so much.
Hello. Am I audible? Yep. First of all, thanks Sinex for giving us the platform to discuss on such a beautiful subject, which is for the future. And let's see how we can come to a conclusion on this topic, which is paper versus plastic. Which one is the future for sustainable packaging? So before going into the discussion, starting the questions, let us know our panel members. I feel privileged to have such a beautiful and expert panel members. I request to introduce on their own their name, which company, and how much it is relevant for paper or plastic. So if you audience can get that idea.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Subhra.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon once again. Anyway, I had a discussion, and I had already introduced myself in first panel, who were present at 10 o'clock meeting. So I think you have known. But for the audience who has just joined, so myself Subhra Nandi, I take care of packaging for RP Sanjiv Goenka Group. We have FMCG sector, we have retail sector. So I represent for the FMCG sector and some part of retail sector also. So our brands are 2EM. Naturally, we have recently launched for personal care, and we have one Ayurveda segment also. We call it Dr. Vaida. And other than that, we have retail segment, which is Spencer's and Nature's Basket. So I represent packaging for entire FMCG and some part of retail segment. And I have almost 17 plus years of experience in packaging. And prior to this organization, I was with Redico Khaitan. Thank you.
Good afternoon all. Myself Rajesh, I represent Licious. Licious is, I would say, India's most loved meat brand today. We are no more a startup. We are now completed 8 years. So I am presently here just as a sustainability enthusiast, but I'm not a packaging specialist or expert. I'm here to just know about what are the sustainability initiatives in this packaging sector and how can I contribute that to my own industry, which is highly perishable in nature. And Licious today present in almost all Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities across India, and we are the first unicorn in D2C. That is one milestone. With respect to plastic or packaging, we achieved the plastic neutrality in the last Environment Day. I think the rest of the things I can be in the question and sessions. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Good afternoon, all of you. My name is Madhuri Gauba. I work with Bacardi. I lead safety, quality, sustainability for AMEA region for Bacardi. Prior to this, I was working with Avery Dennison. I think it's a known name in the packaging industry. My association with sustainability is very old, I can say. I was working with a company called Johnson Matthey. You guys probably may not be very familiar because it's not from the food space. But that organization in 2007 started talking about sustainability and in fact made 10-year goals for sustainability. Like Rajesh, I am also not a packaging expert, but yeah, I do have some experience in terms of sustainability, and also from my Avery Dennison experience, I think I can contribute to the discussion.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Rajesh. Thanks, Subhra. Yeah, let me introduce myself. Myself, Debajit Bhattacharyya. I represent Havmor Ice Cream Private Limited. For last 6 years, I was with them. It's a Lotte group of companies. Lotte is a South Korean giant in industry, more than 120 billion US dollar. And in terms of packaging, it's around plastic and paper. We use both. And on our total packaging spend, which is around 15%, out of that 15%, maybe 15% is plastic, the rest is paper. So that's the equation. So we are more towards paper. And prior to this, I was with Britannia for almost 15 years. That's all about myself. Coming to the question part, first I request Rajesh to give the idea of the impact of plastic packaging on the environment.
See, if we start talking about impact, I would say whenever it comes to, obviously the category that I represent, meat, is said to be the culprit for most of the emissions in the world, right? At the same time, plastic is also treated as non-sustainable or not eco-friendly kind of thing. So here the point I would like to make is impact is not always negative. Impact is always positive as well as negative, right? So the negative impacts, obviously, the first and foremost is the recyclability. Plastics, we know that most of the plastics are not recyclable. And again, in the previous sessions, we were heard about the recyclability is not just one aspect of thing, it is recycling is also another aspect wherein we can mitigate the environmental impact. One interesting fact or number that coming in my mind when you asking about the impact is, one of the estimation is saying no, by 2050, the tonnage of plastic in ocean will surpass the tonnage of fishes. I think more than that, there is no any example to showcase the impact of plastic in nature. So it is said to be around 900 million plastic will be there in ocean compared to 850 million fish stock estimated for the 2050. If the consumption pattern is like this, I think that is there is no more number or fact is required to gauge the impact of plastic, environmental impact of plastic. Then if we categorize the impacts, I think it is not just environmental, there are economical impact due to the logistics part, due to the heavy intensive production cycle that is required for the plastic, not only for the resources. All these are the negative impacts. Again, the toxicity that is coming into environment by leaching the phthalates or other chemical ingredients when it go into that. And this recycling is also coming out of some sort of impact, which is like that the micro fibers out of the recycling process is also causing negative impact in the health and well-being of the humans who is handling that. So there are many, many negative impacts we can showcase, but at the same time, there are positive impacts. See, for example, the early stages of life cycle of plastic is less harmful compared to the paper. The impact we cannot gauge only by the last stage of consumption, right? It should undergo a life cycle assessment to come out that which is more impactful. So if you do that for paper and plastic, I'm not able to find any rationale or reason to pinpoint only one is causing impact. The paper may be less impact during the early stages of life cycle. And plastic is more impactful at the later stages of the environment, it become as a waste. So there are, again, a balancing approach is required to gauge the actual impact out of a plastic or paper. That is what my submission over here.
Just to have a continuity on the discussions, again, I'm asking Rajesh to how to ensure that the good health of the planet, of the people to be ensured. How the health part among these two.
See, again, I can correlate that with the sustainability aspects. We all know that now there are 17 SDGs that put forward by the UN, and all the member countries and individuals or industries are liable to navigate the journey of 17 SDGs. What are the three first SDGs? It is about health, zero hunger. So representing the food industry, I would say I'm representing the most perishable food. And India is a country wherein protein malnutrition is predominant. What we do consume is only 5 to 8 is our per capita, kg is our per capita consumption compared to the WHO recommendation of 30, wherein West is more than 100 kg. So the yardstick for measuring the sustainability issues in West and India or in a developed nation or in a developing country may not be the same. We need to tackle that through different yardstick and different mitigation process. So the specific to your point, how the food industry can utilize the effective packaging for the health and well-being of the people is like that. Again, controlling the wastage of the food. It is said to be around 35% of the food is getting wasted just after the harvest or during the post-harvest period. So if you can preserve it, that is the functionality of a packaging material, right? So wherein the plastic will come, the plastic is having good barrier property compared to any other material. So, okay, we need to have process to address the waste generation, but at the same time, catering protein to the community is also a sustainability initiatives for a country like India. And the emissions and the other environmental impact due to the wastage of the food also very high. So this is how we can correlate many of the people-centric or the planet-centric aspects of health and well-being by adopting the appropriate package. So that is what is coming in my mind at this point.
Great, it's a new angle of thought. So appreciate your thought process. Great. And I'd like to ask Subhra on how sustainable packaging is driving manufacturers to seek alternate to plastics.
See, before I come into this question, so plastic and paper is always a controversial topic. It's nothing hidden. So if there is some pros, there are some cons also. One thing we have to understand, plastic, whatever we tell, okay, ban plastic or don't use plastic, honestly, it's not possible to avoid plastic. You cannot ignore it because the day you start, the starting day is your toothbrush. That is made of plastic. Alternate, many things are coming, but how much user point of view, if you see the user friendliness, the traditional brush made of plastic or plastic content, it is not going to go away from our life. So this is a very small example why we cannot avoid plastic. There are so many things. If you calculate your plastic consumption per day, using mobile, using car, there are so many things, so you cannot avoid it. That's the first point I want to, is opening remark I want to give when we discuss about plastic and paper. Now, if I talk about paper, just think when plastic we haven't discovered, only paper were there. So why plastic came in picture? We have to understand that also. Because we want to save environment, because tree, you are destroying tree to produce papers. So if you have invented something, discovered something to save environment, after many years we are talking on the same thing to destroy, to cut jungles. Otherwise, how will make paper? If you have to completely rediscover it. So again, you have to think from environment point of view. So now question come, if both the things are not very easy to, ignore or accept, so how we have to do that? So that the plastic is one of the material which is easy to use, lighter in weight, and cost wise also is very economical if you calculate the yield point of view. So now when it became a culprit in this entire world, so the main point is the collection method. If we ask our collection method process as of now we are following, or if we follow what we have done, we will find always there is a collection method or self-awareness. That message was not very clear. So if we segregate it properly, better than plastic, I don't think so. Then there is no other material in day-to-day use kind of material if you are considering. So the problem is the collection method and the recycling method. I'm not talking about completely recycle, but at least some sort of, if we can make it chips format or something, we can add in our road construction. I still remember when I was in China 2010, they were already implemented that system. They make all the multi-layer plastics into a chips and they are mixing on the road construction, and the road quality is outstanding. It is not breakable very easily. So just a thought, I'm not talking 100% we should use in a road construction, there is also pros and cons. But thing is that at least somehow we have to understand how to make that used plastic in a reuse format. So that's the main thing what I want to understand. I want to give a message very clearly what I have in my mind. And now coming to your question. So your question was specific to, it is environmental sensitive, or how it is sustainable.
Sustainable in terms of manufacturer's point of view.
Manufacturing point of view. So that's your main question. So from manufacturing point of view, if you ask me, this is depends on only brand owners. Because if you are developing something, if your brand manager or your product requires some kind of shelf life, you cannot achieve through paper, or maybe you have to use some coating, but that is also not sustainable from cost point of view also. And there are many wear and tear which cannot sustain. The paper has its own limitations. So from manufacturing point of view, if you ask me for the sustainable angle, we have to understand how to down gauge the laminate. In previous session also I told, packaging is something, if we make it in that way, sometimes less is more. So you have to use less plastic. So that it is not about only the brand owners has asked. From your side also, from manufacturing side also, if somebody proactively gives some solution, whereas you have asked for suppose 62 micron, you can use 51 micron, but your intact WBTR, OTR, whatever shelf life is required, will achieve from this solution. So overall, the carbon footprint, if you see carbon emission, it will go down. So from sustainable point of view, always it will not depends on brand. Manufacturing side also, the approach should be from a solution oriented. How we can down gauge the plastic and less use of plastic. In suppose in D2C segment, if we remove completely bubble wrap and if we use some paper crush or something, that is also one way to look into it, because today's world D2C has a 90% market share if you see the online pattern. Earlier it was 100% on the e-commerce. Now it is D2C also came in a picture. People are directly ordering. So if everyone take that initiative, I think that from manufacturing side, that consumption will definitely go down and carbon emission will go down. So that's my take on this.
Thanks, Subhra. Just narrowing down the question, that is paper is more sustainable than plastic? So it should, there should be a sharp answer for that.
Again, it's not about, paper and as Rajesh also said, paper, chicken and egg story, because some sort of plastic, if I talk about, I'm not talking about now biodegradable, I'm talking about normal plastic which is available in this market. If the user pattern is good, So I have used this water bottle, it will go in a circular economy, and my brand owner is taking this, suppose Bisleri, I think Bisleri has taken back this, again they are using his rPET, recycled PET, and they are using. So if this circular economy is good enough in our country, of course without government you cannot do it. So if this circular economy is established in a proper way, I think plastic is the best material. Whereas in paper, it is little bit tough because, you know, the biodegradability, we think it's a biodegradable. But at certain ambient condition, at certain age, ऐसा नहीं कि हमने फेंक दिया और ये biodegradable हो गया. So it has its own requirement to biodegrade. So in that way, biodegradable versus recyclable, if you ask me, I'll choose recyclable. Of course, it's a process driven. Right. There is a cost attached to it. But thing is that when your circular economy develop, you will prefer this recyclable, not biodegradable. Now we are talking about biodegradable because we don't have that operation, foolproof operation for recycle.
True. Thanks, Subhra. Now, madam, just how does durable, reusable plastic packaging fit within the sustainable mindset? So very.
I think Subhra has already touched upon that topic. While we are saying, you know, there's always this constant debate which is happening between paper, plastic, and not just paper, plastic, but other forms of, you know, packaging material also. For example, coming from the liquor industry, people are trying cans. In fact, I can give you one example wherein at one of our Bacardi sites, we have collaborated with Marine Cruise Company, and there we are providing casks for liquor. So the liquor bottles, most of them, they are glass, but they are not, you know, recycled or reused, so to say. Yeah, they are recycled but not reused. So what Bacardi has done, they have tied up, and there's a pilot going on. So they will provide liquor in cask. It will go to the cruise ships, and then once, you know, the ship comes back to land, the cask will be refilled. So that is, you know, one way of looking at it. If we are very focused and we just think about one aspect, then probably, like Subhra said, everybody is talking about paper. But it has to be thought in a very holistic manner. Although I have some difference of opinion in terms of what Subhra said, because plastic is not just about, you know, recyclability, or it's not just that we get into the circular economy. It's a very good alternative. The other aspect probably that we need to think about is health. How these small particles are getting into our body. That is also very important consideration to have. My friend just now talked about the amount of plastics in ocean. There was one study which was done in 2023, very recently, and it said that there are so many particles in our oceans that if we distribute amongst the residents, 8 billion residents on Earth, each one of us will have 21,000 pieces. So that is the kind of, you know, plastic which is there in the oceans. Just imagine that plastic is being eaten by all the, you know, wild sea life, and we also consume it knowingly or unknowingly. The chemicals which are there in these bottles, they leach into the product and they get into our body. And you know, there is a research, and everyone knows about it, that cancer, one of the major causes is plastic. Though everything is associated to cancer these days, that's another story. But yes, you know, so what I would like to say is, to conclude on this particular topic, is that we cannot have one single approach to plastic paper. There are considerations. Considerations start first from the consumer. What exactly the consumer is looking for? What is your product? Can you really pack it in paper? Maybe no. Regulations. What are the regulations in the region that you are operating? What are other stakeholders looking forward to? Based on that, design a sustainability strategy for yourself and then implement it. it's not just one particular aspect. The other aspect could also be the carbon footprint. What it takes to make a plastic bottle, what it takes to make a glass bottle, for example. How do you transport that? What is the carbon footprint? So plastic is light, yes, it is light. Glass, recyclable, does not help, it's not a health hazard. It's a very neutral product. But how much energy is needed, when you transport it? So there are certain set of things that you need to consider before making a decision.
Great. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks.
Just to add,
Please.
I think you have touched upon a very important point, because we never calculate in a holistic way the transportation, the breakages, everything is, is a part of this journey. So carbon footprint or carbon emission, if we talk about only the manufacturing front, it's not suffice the subject, because there are certain things, it's an end-to-end solution. So if we split that part, so maybe in one of the aspect we can control something. So if we take 3 parts or 4 parts, manufacturing, sourcing, manufacturing, then processing, supply chain, and end use. So if you split in that way, and each company has, I'm sure the strategy will be different. So as you mentioned, it's very right. So strategically, if we think, maybe plastic is good for my organization, maybe not for other organization. Because when we calculate the total carbon footprint, maybe I'm in a beneficial side because of my nature of product. So it's a valid and very vital point you have highlighted. So that's the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Any thought on the cost part, paper versus plastic?
Again, see, this is something very open-ended question, because it depends on MOQ. It depends on your product shelf life you are looking for. I'll give you a small example. In our Spencer's or Nature basket, we are using paper pouches, stand-up pouches. Because the shelf life of those products are 15 days, 20 days. But I cannot use it in my snacks product for my brand, which is 2EM. So in 2EM, our product nature is completely different. So in the same organization, the department is same, but decision making angle is different. So to nail down the cost, which is your original question.
Is there any problem of switching over from plastic to paper in terms of cost?
Definitely. So I'm coming to that. So it depends on your MOQ as well as uses. So now if it is only the shelf life is 15 days, suppose chili, just example I'm giving. So suppose that red chili, the shelf life we have declared in Spencer's or Nature basket, any retail segment, it is 20 days. Just example. So I can negotiate harder with my vendor, because my shelf life I know it's 20 days. But in snacks, my shelf life is 6 months or 4 months. So the cost negotiation is also depends on your nature of product. So it's very tricky to give you answer in a single line, okay, this is costlier. And same thing, if I give you some number, suppose 1 ton metric ton of laminate I am converting to make some pouches. Maybe I'll get pouch cost, each pouch cost like roughly 5 rupees. But my brand owner is saying, I don't want to launch so much of quantity because I'm not sure about the product. I need only 1,000 pieces, but I want in laminate. So how this is possible? Then you have to approach digital printing. In digital printing, 1 pouch costs you 20 rupees. So you understand? So the requirement, your shelf life and your product, all 3 correlated to get the cost. So it's not a single liner answer for your question. So it's a, again, we have to see the condition.
Agree with you. Other than these 3 factors, there are some other factors also, which is also not allowing to replace plastic to paper in terms of technology, in terms of the properties, which is required.
Absolutely.
And wherever it is getting fitted, and the cost is a factor
Absolutely.
which is coming.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that is the area where industry can look into.
Correct.
So there, as far my industry is concerned, we are looking for an alternative, 100% paper. So which is
Yeah,
against
it's a
your,
matter
your
of,
point of view.
see, it's a
but,
matter
but,
of time.
But we are not able to do it because
Correct.
of
So
either.
it's a matter of time. See, technology is evolving.
But whether
like,
it is good or bad, that's different. But
right. So technology is evolving like anything. There are so many things are happening in industry. So it's a matter of time. Maybe the some coating, the paper, you are applying on the paper and you are getting better result than plastic. That may also happen because the things are going. One of my good friend, I think Michael Mann, they are developing, it's a US-based organization, they are developing on coating. So to get the better shelf life in a paper. So it's a matter of time how, but again, the balancing, it will take time. And any solution, if it is not affordable, it's not solution, it's an aspiration. So now aspiration is there. But solution, yes, we are waiting.
right, thanks, Subhra. Madam, any alternate of which is eco-friendly packaging? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we've been discussing that only for some time. There are various eco-friendly alternatives available. Like we just discussed, paper is one of the alternative. Then if you are transporting liquid, you can use aluminium for that. Nowadays, people were also talking about edible, starch-based material. So there are multiple,
Right.
alternatives which are possible. I want to emphasize on one more thing here, that these alternatives have emerged because there has been a need which has been created. So we were happily doing with, matkas and all those things that people were talking about. But then came industrial revolution, life became fast, and we needed things which were packed. So came plastic. Everyone now started thinking about the ill effects of plastic. They're not, getting recycled. They are creating pollution. So therefore, we started thinking about other alternatives. So it's very important that we demand, because when we demand, things will come. Maybe newer things will also come. I'll give you one or two examples from Avery Dennison. So a very innovative company. They have designed liner-less labels. Recently, there was a post on LinkedIn. So everyone knows label, there is a backing paper and then there is a label. And that backing is all waste. So even if when we are talking about paper, it's not that we just go and waste. If you are applying label on your products, now they have a material which you can apply and the liner is not there. So it's almost 50–40% saving of paper. And they also have a program wherein they collect that liner and that is recycled. The other example I can give you is Avery Dennison also has wash-off labels. So all the beer industry people, they recycle the glass bottles. Even we in Bacardi also recycle some of the bottles. So they are collected and they are washed in a facility and then they are recycled. The major challenge in recycling the glass bottle, sorry, I'm going a little off the track.
Perfect. It's good to hear your industry experience. That's relevant. And
so the glass bottle of beer or whatever liquor, it has a label on it, and when you wash it, it's very difficult to get the label off. So Avery Dennison came up with a label technology. It's called wash-off label, and it's very quick to remove. So when we demand, the alternatives will come. That's what I wanted to say.
True. Just to add, because I was also part of Avery Dennison long back. 2.5 years I was there. So this wash-off level, so I'm just coming back to this story. So it was discovered long back, right? But thing is that again, the affordability and the user. So you can imagine, I think I'm talking about 13 years back, it has been discovered. It has been populated and a lot of trials conducted. Even I was a part of those trials, some trials. So, but thing is that the affordability. And there is another example what you have told. So there is a pharma grade label exclusively made by Avery Dennison. There is an adhesive called ALV 434. I don't know the name, that grade is still ALV 434 or not. I still remember that grade. So they developed because the injection bottles, it can migrate. When you are applying any bottle label on the plastic injection bottles, so that adhesive may migrate on the injection and it may contaminate. And there are when your UV ink dry, when you are printing it, so there is a benzophenone particle is always evolved. So that also, that presence also may migrate on the, so Radisson came up with that solution, ALB43, that adhesive, that's a particular adhesive, it will not migrate, it will protect. But I don't know how much it is in use in pharma industry, but it is there. So thing is that affordability and mindset. How much? Sustainability is not only from manufacturing side. It has to be followed by user point of view also. In today's discussion, we have discovered that QR code and all the sustainability, and there is a topic came up in last year. More than 90 billion transaction happened through online in India, and in US it is only 1.7 billion. And in China, it is 17 or 18 billion. So you can understand, imagine the online transaction happened in India. So it is all paperless. So that is also part of sustainability. So sometimes it's a matter of time. So now we are using label. Maybe moving forward, we will not use any label. Only QR code will be there, right? So the sustainability is from all angle. So that's the point. One of the point.
Yeah. And the last question is to Rajesh, that finding the right balance between sustainability and functionality.
Yeah. So finding the balancing is all about sustainability. Sustainability is always talking about finding the balance. So even throughout the life, that is the ethos of Indian philosophy is also finding the balance in everything that we do. I think if we are able to find that right balance, things will be streamlined with less impact. So the question is not about plastic or paper. The question is about plastic and paper. So that is again balancing. If it is or, there is no balancing. So we need to think about plastic and thing. So as he rightly said, no, it is the intended use that should decide to which mode we need to move into that. See, for example, to have the water over here, you can keep a glass bottle and the glasses. No need of so many plastic bottles here. But if you need to import a vaccine or something is required a cryopreservation of liquid nitrogen kind of things, you cannot use paper. That is maybe for life saving. So there you need to have plastic in place. So this kind of rationality we need to apply to arrive at where we need to use what kind of plastic material. And again, it is like we can't think about a life without an antibiotic, without plastic. Both are the great discoveries by humans. It is not about banning one thing or the other. So let us strategize our policies, not decided by some columnist or activist or NGOs in the television channels or some other talking about, okay, let us come out of plastic everywhere and where. It is not sustainability, it is not balancing approach. So that is why takeaway, and I can give the right examples at what we do like industry, small steps we can take. So as you know, the meat packaging is mostly vacuum or modified atmospheric packaging, vacuum or MAP. Both is required plastic maybe a decade ago. But now there are MAP trays which is coming 80% of plastic and 20% of paper. Sorry, 80% of paper and 20% of plastic. So MAP is possible with the paper, but the cost may be 5-fold or 10-fold initially, but when the technology involves, the cost will come down and there will be acceptability. The other thing is go for bioplastic mode. The plastic out of starch, plastic out of plant, plastic out of seaweed. Somebody was talking about in the previous session about edible packaging kind of thing. So this alternative and merging the plastic and paper, I think that is the right solution. And then decide based on the intended use, what is your ultimate purpose of the packaging, and then go for it. And don't strategize anything only with only one SDG, which is the climate change. And the carbon footprint and water footprint is less for plastic compared to the paper. So that is also we need to consider. See, for example, if I need to transport if I convert my plastic requirement into paper, I may require to transport 3 container load of material from Uflex to Bangalore. But if it is in plastic, only 1 container load, so the emission is 3 times less. So this is how we need to calculate, and not based on one aspect, it's the entire life cycle, end to end. LCA we need to do for any sort of plastic material or any sort of packaging material to conclude that which is more eco-friendly or not. That's it.
Absolutely. Keeping in mind the society in top priority. Yes. So just to sum up the discussion what we had, just few points is emerging that plastic is required. That's one point which is coming. And we cannot eliminate it. And what Madam said that it is, all of us said the same thing, it is on the situation based, wherever it is. So, and being a price sensitive market in India, so definitely cost will be a factor for anything which will take a shift from one to another. So that's what the discussion we had. Anything, any questions from the audience? So we can take it up.
Okay, let me ask one question. So, anyone in this hall has shifted anything from plastic to paper or paper to plastic in your organization? No? I think really there is no question. Okay then.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your patience and listening. Thanks.
So thank you so much to all the panel members. Can we have a huge round of applause for all of them, everyone? Come on. Okay, so now we would like to do the felicitation for all the panel members. Okay, so for the felicitation, I would like to call Dheeraj. Please come on the stage. Okay, so please put your hands together for Mr. Subhra Nandi. Can we have a huge round of applause for sir? The next gentleman is Mr. Rajesh K. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Now we have a beautiful lady over here. Please put your hands together for Miss Madhuri Gauba. Okay, so last but not the least, our moderator, please put your hands together for Mr. Debajit Bhattacharya.